So after three back to back to back, first time since 2021, also there was a stat on that. After 10 years, Penn State has decided to go in a different direction and fire Coach James Franklin. Everything got really, really loud. Like, we saw the videos of him walking off the field to boos and everybody just, chanting fire, fire Franklin. And with the loss to Oregon and how everything has just steamrolled since then, Penn State's decided to go in a different direction, and they're going to make a change at head coach. They're going to let him go, which I think the buyout. I was looking at some of the comments. The one, I don't know how accurate it was, like 58 million, something like that, because it's what Bama fans were talking about too after Kalen DeBoer lost to FSU, and then it's like, I don't know, how silly would that decision have been with the buyout. But anyways, after three straight losses, Penn State's decided to fire Coach Franklin. I think the writing was on the wall after the UCLA game. And I think even bigger, I don't think this is just a sign of this season. I think the overall reason, it's kind of like, well, to kind of use Coach Lanning's term, death by a thousand cuts. You look at what his record is, Coach Franklin's. You look at Coach Franklin's record against top 25 teams. You look at his record against top 10 teams. You look at his record in head-to-head matchups against Ohio State. You look at his head-to-head against Michigan as well. Not good numbers. And I think it's a far cry too, considering like how well in the top of the college football mountain they were, back when they won the Big Ten and when they were competing for the Big Ten just about every single year, in the late 2010s, to now where last season they competed for it again, lost to Oregon, went on a little bit of a run in the playoffs, beating Boise State, and then lose on a crucial, critical turnover there towards against Notre Dame in the Orange Bowl. I'm not saying that Franklin could never win the big one, but I think with just the record of, because when you compare his record, like let's bring up Ryan Day, for example. Everybody, after they lost to Michigan last year, everybody was yelling and screaming, okay, it's time to fire Ryan Day. But then you look, what is Ryan Day's record against everybody except Michigan? The dude's a winner. And I think you can't make that same statistical argument for Franklin. And I think that's ultimately another reason and decision on why they ended up moving in a different direction. Obviously, all time for Penn State head coaches, obviously he doesn't compare, because you have to win a national championship, obviously, to be in those greats and that topic of discussion. And I think when you have a cupcake schedule to get your season rolling, I think it's the reason why you lose a big one against Oregon, and then after you lose the locker room and like all, if you want to look at emotions like a balloon, all of the air is deflated in that balloon. Yeah, you're not going to play well against UCLA, but you should still win that one. But then you lose it. You blink and it's 14-0, and then it's 21-7, and then UCLA starting to pull away, you pull back a little bit, but then straw that breaks the camel's back, Northwestern. You should not be losing to Northwestern. And that's no hate on Northwestern, because in 2018 Northwestern had a really good team. In 2020 Northwestern had a good team. And Northwestern's one of those weird teams, like in Iowa, like a Wisconsin. Well, Wisconsin wishes right now, considering everything that's going on. But they're a team like once every 3 or 4 years they'll have a run. Northwestern's one of those teams. I understand that Drew Aller got injured too, but he got injured in the fourth quarter with how many minutes left on the last drive to try to go win the game. I think just all of that accumulated to the decision on why they fired him. Then you look at the remainder of their schedule and who they have coming up. Let me pull it up here. They got Iowa, Ohio State, and Indiana, who, by the way, both are top 3 teams. You got Michigan State in East Lansing. You got Nebraska, and then you got the Rutgers. Objectively, I think they could beat Nebraska, and I think they could beat the Rutgers. You know what? Hell, I think they could even beat Michigan State as well. But considering the thumping that Iowa put on Wisconsin and where Ohio State and Indiana are at, like, that 3 straight losses could turn into, if we are not careful, 6 straight losses. And then at that point, who the hell knows? There's still parts of me, though, that think they're still going to win some games. Like, we wrote off UCLA. Look at what UCLA has done. They've won a couple games they shouldn't have. We wrote them off. Originally, I thought UCLA could have won at least 7 or 8 games this season. Now the same might be said about Penn State. Can they win at least 7 or 8 games? Can they get to a bowl game? I think now, all things considered on where they sit, where after they fire a coach, starting quarterback's injured, and this whole season's kind of been a struggle, and now even more with how solid the defense was. Because I do think Penn State's defense is still solid. It's the offense that struggled more. Can they get at least 6 wins? Can they get to a bowl game? Also, too, I wouldn't be surprised either with now everything that's going on, with how much craziness and outside noise is going on for Penn State. How crazy would it be if Penn State does beat Ohio State in the shoe? They haven't done that. Or how crazy would it be where Indiana, here comes Coach Signetti and Mendoza, and they're poised, they're on their way, they're going to get to the Big Ten championship, and then boom, Penn State plays upset. And then watch Penn State with that underdog role back against the wall. We have nothing to lose. Watch them upset that. And then that's the reason why Indiana's prevented to go to the Big Ten. Anyways, I'm rambling now. But that's just my thoughts, though, on Coach Franklin getting fired. I think, obviously, the best season probably was that 2016 season with Saquon Barkley, Trace McSorley, Gesicki, and all of them, when they went to the Rose Bowl. But interesting. The other thing too is I didn't think he'd get fired. I really didn't. I thought it was just a huge overreaction where, okay, yeah, you're losing a couple games. I thought he was, but it is what it is. But that's my thoughts, guys. What do you think about Penn State firing Coach Franklin? Was it the right move? Be sure to let me know in the comments, and I'll see you in the next video.